All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Workbench, your resource rich weekly podcast and newsletter for home services. As always, I'm Brian, the founder and CEO of Lead Truffle. Lead Truffle helps local businesses convert website visitors and missed calls into paying customers. And today I'm excited to be joined by Steve Frusolone, who is the CEO and founder of Market Sparks. They work across a variety of B2C and B2B clients, but today we're going to be focusing on his insights for local business and home services through SEO, ads, and basically all the other marketing channels you might need to grow your business. So, Steve, thank you for coming on. How is your week starting off?
The week's early. It's reporting week for us with our clients, so we're always quite busy. The first week of the month, we do reporting with all of our clients, so it gets quite hectic. And thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, excited to have you on. So, before we dive into the tips, tricks, and insights for digital marketing for home services, Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself and the business that you run.
Sure. I mean, I could go back a long ways, but the short version is I came up through the IT ranks, moved over into marketing and then digital marketing, and I launched Market Sparks about almost 7 years ago now. And we do everything you would think a digital marketing company does, whether it's web design, running ads on whatever platform makes the most sense for our clients. We're really big in search engine optimization and conversion rate optimization, and particularly for B2B businesses, we have a really strong business development program strictly on LinkedIn, and then email marketing as well. So I guess everything you would think if you came to a digital marketing company to build a marketing strategy for you, we are also the execution side. So we can do the strategy and then we also execute.
Great. So for home services and other types of local business where their focus is creating penetration within a specific geography, local SEO, Google My Business, ads, out of home marketing, those are some of the main channels we hear about for the 40-ish% of your clients that operate within those bounds. What are you seeing works best, and where do you typically start them off in terms of getting their digital marketing rolling?
So our approach is really to do a complete assessment of the business and their competition. So, when you talk about local businesses, I think if you're not showing up at the top of search results, you're just missing out on massive opportunities. And it's typically not that hard to rank for very valuable keywords in a local market, provided you're not up against thousands of companies in that local market. Obviously, we can still do that, but the cost kind of gets quite a bit higher. But so we start out with an assessment, and we have our clients fill out a fairly detailed questionnaire so we can understand their goals, their pain points, what they've tried in the past, and really understanding. We ask them about their competition. We ask them how much they're willing to spend to acquire a customer, and then we wrap an entire strategy around that. For home service based businesses, that strategy, 90+% of the time will include some SEO work, and then we will have conversations with them about, is this about getting you business now, or is it about just scaling you for the future and positioning you in a better spot in the future? If they're really concerned about getting business now, certainly not, SEO typically isn't going to do that. It's going to take 30, 60, 90 days before we can get a client ranking high. But then, so running ads really becomes the play. And if it's a very visual product, so if they're a painter, we're likely going to want to do a lot on Meta. Our digital team is headed up by a gal that I actually hired away from Google about 6 years ago. And then we've since taken the approach. Back 5 years ago, we went and poached somebody from Facebook, and we poached somebody from LinkedIn. And, we built a really solid team. And I think the best approaches for these businesses is really multi-channel and omni-channel approach, because, there's very few one-touch buyers these days. So you have to hit them from multiple angles. And if that means that, we're certainly targeting search, Google search ads, we're analyzing the keywords, analyzing the volume, analyzing the competition. And then we're looking at target marketing on the social platforms.
What are some of the strategies you see working best for ads across different platforms? And more specifically, I think the big ones people think about and want to get involved in, but maybe are a bit intimidated because there's so many different strategies, are Google. So you have Google LSA and just straight PPC on Google, and then you have Facebook and Instagram, which do kind of require some level of creative production to show up on those platforms. You need to have some videos or some images to post there. So, what are you seeing work best across those main ad channels?
Really, I think it's a combination. We kind of let the data dictate whether or not Google is in play. So if there's, if we're doing analysis on a particular business and it's a very unique business, but a home-based service, and there's just not a lot of search volume to support it, certainly we'll get them ranking. About 25% of all searches on Google typically have no measurable search volume. It doesn't mean you shouldn't target those keywords. So we think SEO is in play all the time for home-based businesses. If you're talking about, on social platforms, it's certainly not a LinkedIn play in the B2C world. So, for these clients that are selling direct to consumers, we typically avoid doing anything on LinkedIn. It's very expensive to run ads on LinkedIn, and cold outreach especially is very expensive without a very detailed funnel strategy wrapped around that. What we're seeing though is, it's really important to have content that's engaging. And when you talk about engagement on social media, it's not likes. Likes don't really mean anything on social media anymore. You need to really strive for comments and shares, and then direct traffic, whether you're running PPC ads or ads on social. You've got to direct that traffic to a landing page. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes we see all the time is that companies are running ads and they're sending traffic to their homepage, and that's just, it really, to me, is a very bad strategy, because a homepage, you give them so many outs, right? You're trying to get them to take a specific action based on that ad that you've run, but if they've got 12 other different menu items and call to action buttons that they can click, that's a really bad strategy. So we guide that traffic to a landing page that has, a set of actions that are 100% relative to that ad that we've run. So the content, the creative side of things, we have a creative team that, in my opinion, builds amazing top, middle, and bottom of the funnel ads. They're very good at what they do. We've got in-house graphic design team. We utilize content from the client as much as possible as well. We're certainly taking content from their website. But if they happen to be producing a lot of videos, which a lot of our home service clients do produce video, we might either guide them on how to produce it differently or use snippets of that in our ads. One other thing I wanted to point out too is, I think a big thing that gets missed often is the importance of their websites. So it's really easy as a digital marketing company to drive traffic to a website, right? That's what we do. But how good is that website at converting customers? And, you've got about 3 to 6 seconds before somebody's going to decide if they're going to scroll down your page or make a click on your page. And, particularly that above the fold section, it's got to be very, very rock solid. You got to let them know very quickly who you are, what you do, what problem you solve, who you solve it for, and how to get started with them. So a lot of what we do will be revamping websites, at minimum a homepage. So I just wanted to point that out. I know it's a little bit different than the question you were asking there, but I wanted to make sure that we did talk about that.
What type of creative do you see performing best? Is it videos? Is it images? Is it reviews? Is it, what type of, and I know it's different per client, but if someone's listening and, hey, I want to try my first stab at Facebook ads, should I just put a selfie up there? Like, what is the type of creative you see works best?
Yeah, I think they have to, if they're going to do it in-house, they have to think about when they see ads on Facebook, and maybe they click on it, maybe they don't, but what makes them click on an ad or what prevents them. So I think they need to kind of educate themselves on what types of, certainly a lot of free research out there that'll help them. You could just Google what are the best ads for my painting business, and they're going to get lots of information. Our approach is always to test different types of ads. We surprisingly have amazing, maybe the highest success with full text ads, which kind of goes against where things were 2 or 3 years ago, right? Everything was about visual content. It's still necessary, but I think you need to tell a little bit of a story. So maybe I don't know, if you're let's see, if you're a massage therapist, maybe you've got a text ad on the benefits of massage therapy and the different types of massage therapy. And then maybe a subsequent ad that you're going to show to that same audience who's clicked on it or who's in that target market is a video of somebody from your office performing it, ideally with some voiceover. So we really find that a combination of ad types is testing of the different ad types is really critical. And then you start focusing on which ones seem to be converting at the highest rate.
Outside of ads, SEO sounds like the sort of main way that a local business or a home services company might go about driving leads. SEO can mean a lot of different things. When we talk about SEO for home services or local businesses, what do you see as that 80/20 of value? Where should these businesses be trying to show up? Is it Google My Business? And then also on top of that, like, what are some things people can do to start approaching ranking within those search engines?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on that there. I think the most important thing, I think the last figure I saw was like 59% of small businesses haven't even claimed their Google business profile. That's free to do. There's no reason that a business shouldn't do that. And if they expect they're going to show up in organic results ahead of a business that's taking care of their profile and taking care of their directory listings, it's not going to happen. So that's where we always advise is, hey, let's make sure you've got your Google business set up properly. Another piece is directories. So typically in the home services space, anywhere from 50 to 70 different business directories that those businesses likely appear on. You may know a lot of them. I may know a lot of them. We may not know a lot of them. But the important thing to remember is that Google knows all of them. So one of the 300 or so ranking factors, I don't even know how many Google's got these days, but one of the ranking factors is this business's data accurate across the web? And it's not even so much accurate as it is inconsistent. And I'll give you a brief example. If your address to your business is 123 Main Street and your Google business profile is set up as the word street spelled out, but you appear on Dexnose or some other directory with, instead of the word street spelled out, you have an ST period. Well, it is a small mark against you because Google says the address for this business is not consistent. So there are syncing services. We offer this as well, but it's really important that your data is accurate across the web. When you get into the SEO side, it's about really a couple of things. There's on-page SEO and off-page SEO. On-page SEO, think of in terms of the content on the website, the keywords on the website, certainly all the visible stuff. But on-page is also about how the site is structured. Do you have an XML sitemap? Do you have a robots.txt file? How are your tags set up? Is there a canonical URL? All the technical information behind the website. That's all on-page SEO. The second really big piece of SEO is your off-page SEO. This gets into your directory listings. It gets into your backlinks. You can write a whole dissertation on backlinks, but it's really important to have your website and your data appearing on very highly respected, high authority websites in Google's eyes. They have to be websites that have a high domain rating. So can an individual business owner go out and get these links? They can. It's difficult if you don't know what you're doing, or you can hire an SEO company to do it for you. So it's the on page and the off page, and then the low hanging fruit, which I will say is the Google business profile, the Bing profile. Everyone wants to always think it's always about Google. Bing is processing about 4 billion searches a day right now. So you've got a lot of corporate implementations of Microsoft Outlook and whatnot, and Bing is the underlying search engine there. So you got to target not only Google, but Bing as well. And that kind of goes into the research that we do. I think that, and then your website, making sure it's mobile friendly, making sure it's performing, making sure that it's visually appealing, making sure that the who, what, why, and when are very clearly visible on the homepage. The average website visitor leaves after about 1.7 clicks, and you just can't afford to have them having to dig around for information on your website.
When it comes time to convert those hard-earned leads from ads, from SEO into customers for a home services or local business client, what do you see works best? Is it phone only? Is it website form? I run a company that does AI texting for home services, so that's obviously something we focus on. But I know there's a lot of other ways to convert these folks. So, what do you see work best in terms of converting these leads that we've now worked so hard to generate?
Yeah, I think it's a combination, and it varies by industry. In some industries, it's an offer. So maybe the ad had the offer in it, and somebody filled out the form. I would be on the phone with somebody like that right away. If they haven't booked an appointment, I would have somebody at the company on the phone with them right away. I think you should be retargeting. Every company should be retargeting. A lot of business owners don't know what that is. But for example, Facebook and LinkedIn, Facebook has something called the Facebook Pixel. LinkedIn has something called the Insight Tag Manager. Tiny little snippet of code gets installed on your website. What that allows you to do then is basically serve up an ad to somebody who has previously been on your website. I mean, they've already shown interest. Why wouldn't you want to target them with an ad? So I think it's really, a combination, and you have to figure out for your business what works the best. And we're big on testing, because not everything is going to work for all businesses. You got to know your audience, and it gets big to, again, back to some of the things we talk about early on with a customer. Have you set up buyer personas? Do you know who your ideal buyers are? I bet 99% of small businesses have never even heard of a buyer persona. They should have multiple buyer personas set up, because now you can figure out what platform to target them on, what types of content will strike strike a nerve with them. Yeah, so retargeting is a really important piece of it. And then automatically, anybody who fills anything out on your email should go into an email drip campaign.
Yeah.
There's very few one-click buyers these days, so you've
Yep.
got to come at them from multiple channels.
Yeah, and the way we've done it with Lead Truffle, my software company, is we took that traditional web form where you're asking 5, 10 questions up front and you're trying to get this person's life story before they've even really talked to you or learned about your business. The problem with those web forms is someone could fill out your annoying 10-question form, and if they don't hit submit, guess what? That lead's gone forever. So thanks to AI, we actually put that whole qualification process inside of a conversation and text message. So all we get is name and phone number, and then the qualification happens over conversation. And to me, that's a much more natural way to move the person through the funnel opposed to these long forms. So on the topic of AI, it's the hottest is elephant in the room. It's the hot topic. Are you using it? Do your clients use it? Are you using it internally? What's Market Spark's current AI position for yourself and your clients?
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, we use it for everything we do, whether it's writing ad copy or website chat, SEO content. We use it fairly extensively. I would say we were an early adopter as well. Um, and then, very few of our clients use it, but when they're engaged with us, we help them implement some form of AI. We also use it in our B2B LinkedIn business development program. We're using AI to essentially analyze the success of the program. What kind of people are connecting at the highest rates? What kind of messaging is creating the highest response rate when we're messaging folks? So we're constantly using AI to tweak the messaging campaigns there.
For someone who's listening, Steve, and they're saying, man, this all sounds good. I want to start getting digital marketing going for my business, but I don't know where to start. Let's more specifically talk about a home services company. Let's say I run a small HVAC company or a small pest control company, and I've kind of built my business through referrals and postcards and whatnot, but I'm ready to take the leap into digital marketing. I just don't know where to start. What guidance would you give that person, Steve?
I think the guidance is they have to engage in a conversation with a company that knows how to do this, and they will guide that where to start. And through the proper questions, I think we'll land on a spot of where makes the most sense to start. Obviously, budget is always a concern. So they have to go in knowing that, and maybe they don't know, but knowing that I'm going to have to spend X to get, Y out of it. So that's part of what we talked through with them when I said earlier about, how much you willing to acquire a customer. There's a number of data points people need to know about their business. What is the lifetime value of a customer? What is their how long is their sales cycle? Um, and then how much they are willing to pay to acquire a customer. Because I think if you went to every business owner out there and said, "Hey, spend $1,000 with me, and I'll bring you 4,000 in return," that's pretty darn good. I would think that most companies would know that. But I think that being educated on all of this is a big, big part that most people miss. They want to just talk to a company, and a company says, "Oh, I'm going to do SEO for you and bring you all kinds of web traffic and leads." It doesn't work like that. So I spend probably 5 meetings a week just educating people on everything digital. So, and if they decide to use us going forward, great. If not, at least they're more educated going forward. So I don't think there is necessarily a start here. I guess the two pieces I would say, if you nailed me down and said, "Steve, give me a couple," it's make sure your Google business profile and your data is accurate on the web, and make sure your website is in a decent position. I guess would be the two places I'd start. But I think there's things internal that they need to think about, like those data points I was giving you earlier. What does their sales funnel look like? Are they nurturing leads when they come in? There's so many things that go into these conversations.
For sure. Steve, anything we didn't cover, talk about that you wanted to get to or share with the audience today?
No, I think, to me, everybody on our team, we're super passionate about small business. Small business is what makes America go. So the more we can educate, I speak on digital marketing at events all across the country. Um, and I think it's really important for people to take that first step of getting educated, and don't just Google, because you're going to find 5,000 different ways. Find a reputable company.
Listen to the
Maybe it's,
Workbench, for example.
yeah. I really do think that there's so many opportunities for these businesses that they just don't realize.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Steve, on that note, for people that want to work with you or learn about your services or learn from you and connect with you on social media, or other digital means, where can people find you?
Yeah, so our website is Market Sparks. It's MarketSparks.com. My email address is pretty simple, steve@marketsparks.com. Last name is Frusolone, Frusolone. You could find me on LinkedIn. Just Google me. You'll find me all over the place. So
All right, Steve. Well, thank you for coming on. Appreciate the insights, and yeah, appreciate your time today.
thanks for your time, Brian. Pleasure.
Thank you.